This episode is brought to you by Betty Bars. Welcome back to the Kiwi Wedding Podcast. I'm Lydia. I'm a wedding photographer at Lydia Rachel Photography and your host. I'm recording this intro just before releasing this episode, and I have just had my very first in-person event for the podcast. It went so well, and I'm just so grateful for everyone that came. Thank you so much if you did come along. It was so lovely chatting to a room full of brides, vendors, friends, sharing advice, getting inspiration and meeting other people in the same season. So important. And yeah, I just really loved it. So hopefully we'll do another one soon. Let me know what you guys think. It's going into wedding season, so it will probably be after that next year. But the feedback has been wonderful so far, and I'm really grateful to all the vendors and brands that helped put together and sponsor the event. I couldn't have done it without you. On today's episode, I'm chatting to the lovely Stacey. She is such a kind soul, and it was so nice chatting to her. She is a Christchurch-based makeup artist and beauty brand owner. You've probably heard of her before. I know that I have been following her on socials for years and have loved following her journey. We chat through her wedding experience, going through the COVID times, having a number of cancellations, and then ending up getting married in the Coromandel. She also shares some amazing makeup tips. We talk business, beauty, wedding skin prep, all the good things. Let's get right into it. Enjoy episode 70 with Stacey. Hi Stacey, thank you so much for jumping on the podcast today. I'm so excited to chat to you about your wedding and also being a makeup artist, amazing business woman, someone I followed for a long time, and I'm sure lots of people have. So excited to pick your brains a little.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yay. So we'll chat about your wedding a little bit. To start off with, if you could tell me a bit about you and your partner, how you guys met, and yeah, your life together.
Okay, so my husband Regan and I have been together nearly 3 years. Oh, sorry, married nearly 3 years this September. We were a COVID wedding though, so we actually took 5 attempts to finally have our wedding day. So it was a bit of a drawn out process, but we have been together for 8 years, and we met like through some mutual people, but also slightly through Tinder as well. So it's just a typical what is it? Is it Gen Z kind of relationship, I guess?
So good. And so, yeah, you're together for quite a while and then got engaged. Can you tell us a bit about your proposal story?
Oh yes, actually, it was very cute. So we love going away on like adventurous trips away. Like I, as a makeup artist, I'm really hectic, so I often am working like 6-day weeks. And when we do finally get to have some time together, we like to go off the grid. So we had gone to a canopy camping stay on the west coast, and he proposed to me when we did a waterfall walk. The walk is called the Charming Creek Walkway, and he proposed to me at the waterfall, which was really sweet.
Oh, dreamy. Cool to have somewhere to go back to and have that memory as well. I love it. And had you, you'd obviously been like working in the industry for a while, but had you always been one of those girls that dreamed about your wedding? You knew what you wanted. What was that sort of vision from the get-go? And yeah, how did you go about first steps, finding a venue, all of that?
I think like working in the industry was really easy, but also slightly overwhelming because all of my friends are vendors and I wanted to have them all, but unfortunately we couldn't. So our original plan was to get married in 2020 in Byron Bay, Australia. Um, and yeah, obviously COVID and stuff kind of all happened, and we tried 3 times to make it happen in Australia, and then kind of just had to like come to terms with the fact that we could not get over there, and so then we had to look for a New Zealand venue that kind of suited our vibe. But I wouldn't say I was someone that has always had like my wedding day planned out in my head. Like I'm pretty cruisy about that kind of thing. I didn't really have like full on ideas of what I wanted like my dress to be and all that kind of thing. So yeah, I probably wasn't like a lot of my clients, that have been planning it out for ages. Although I did like know the date that I wanted to get married quite far out because me and my friend Monique, who's also she's a hairstylist here in Christchurch, we both had like before we were even engaged had like kind of said, oh, we need this date, to work in with like our work schedules. So I kind of like always knew the date that I was hoping that I'd be like engaged to be able to be married by, but hadn't really planned out like too many of the finer details. I just knew I kind of wanted like a destination wedding versus a local one, just so that we felt like we had somewhere special that we could go to rather than somewhere that I've worked on hundreds of weddings at.
Yeah, so relatable. I feel like so many people say that when you work in the industry as well, like you must see so much and you just know exactly what you want. And I think
Yeah.
you maybe more know what you don't want. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's like not like you've planned out the whole thing. So yeah, what were the sort of like most important elements for you on the day, your top priorities with, yeah, different vendors, five people?
So we always knew we wanted it to be quite like a coastal vibed wedding. We're definitely not people that would get married in like a gardens or at a church or anywhere like that. We're very chill. My husband is as cruisy as they come, so if I had something too like formal, he would have probably felt really uncomfortable. Don't get me wrong, he like likes to dress up and look good and stuff, but he's definitely like your typical North Island cruisy moldy boy, just easygoing. So when we landed on Orua Beach House as our New Zealand location, it was very fitting and just like perfect for us. And yeah, it meant that I could have a few more of our local like friend vendors be a part of the day with it then being in New Zealand too, which was really cool.
So good. Such a beautiful spot as well. Yeah, can you tell me a bit about your wedding outfits, your dress, finding it, getting it made? How was that whole process?
Uh, so one thing that I do still feel a little sad about is that I never really went and did the whole like trying on lots of dresses. As like my normal everyday fashion, I love the brand Stell, which comes from Byron Bay in Australia. And so I always knew that I wanted something quite like kind of bohemian, but also really timeless. I didn't want to look back on my photos and be like, oh, rash decision on the dress, that's going to age really fast. So they actually had a bridal range at the time, and I loved the lace that was on one of their particular items, but I really didn't like the style of it. And so I spoke with a local dressmaker here in Christchurch called Jeanette, and I said to her, I was like, I really love this lace, but I don't like the style. Like it didn't really have any structure or shape to it. And I was like, do you reckon we could do something with it? And at the time it was actually on sale. And she said, she was like, do you know what? Like get one your size and one in like the biggest size. Then we've got lots of fabric to play with. And she was like, we're about to make something work. So my dress is kind of in a way like a one-off fully custom piece, which is really awesome. But I still got it for like a really reasonable price. Like I would say the two dresses plus the customs fee and the currency changeover and things like that would have been less than $3,000 for that one. So um, then that's how I justified getting a second dress made by Brooke Tyson.
Love it. It's so cool to have something no one else has as well. What was the Brooke Tyson one like? Did you get that made as well?
I did, and there's a bit of a story with that one. So that one is definitely more my kind of like fashion style these days, like a big puff sleeve and all that kind of thing. So I wanted that to be my piece that was a bit more fun and a bit more party. It was like a short dress with big sleeves and tulle and a little bit of embroidery and stuff. It was very, very cool. But um, yeah, it was like I just fully let Brooke like and just trusted the process. But once it was finally sent to me, I had to send it back to her because the zip was getting like I didn't like the type of zip that was on it. It was getting a little bit stuck. So at the time my husband was working as like an operations manager in a warehouse, and I said to him, I was like, can you courier this back to her for me on like an overnight because we really need to get the zip changed. And anyway, I get this phone call and he goes, you're not going to believe it, but you need to get down here. And I was like, what? As I said, what's happened? He goes, I've run over your dress. And I was like, what do you mean? You've run over my dress. And this was like 10 days out from the wedding. And so he had had the dress, like the parcel, all wrapped up nicely. And I had stressed to him how delicate it was because it was made of tulle. So it's like very delicate. And I said to him, be real careful with it. So apparently he had it sitting on the forklift with him and it must have fallen off and he reversed fully over it. And I got there and the dress, bless him, he was like, I didn't like try to wipe the marks off it or anything because it had essentially like tire marks through it. Luckily, it hadn't been ripped, but it did have like dirt and stuff all over it. And he was like, I didn't want to like touch it because I didn't want to make it worse. So poor Brooke, I had to like message her and be like, I'm so sorry for the state that my dress is coming back to you in, but I don't trust myself with this. So please can you like work your magic and try and fix it? So she did, and it was amazing.
Hilarious story. Glad it worked out okay in the end, but oh my gosh, I would have been stressing for sure.
Uh, you know what? Like we were kind of at the point where so many things had like kind of not gone wrong, but like not gone to plan and such that like on the day I was definitely like, oh my God, are you kidding me? Like, no, this is not happening. But then now we're just like crack up because there was so many things that like went wrong, but actually like it all just kind of became part of the story of the day, which was awesome.
You just have to laugh about it, I think. And yeah, you're right. It just becomes a funny story and like a good memory. So,
Yeah,
oh, so
totally.
good. And did you guys have a bridal party? And if so, how was that process? Was it easy choosing them?
Yeah, I mean, so it was kind of hard. So one of Regan's brothers lives in Australia. So unfortunately, he couldn't come because the borders were still closed and things. So, but actually, like we had like uneven numbers. So then because he couldn't come, it kind of evened things up. So we had three each on each side, which was awesome. So my sister was like a given, and then I had two of my close friends.
And what about the guest list? I don't know if you would have still had the restrictions then, but yeah, how was that? Was that difficult to narrow down?
I can't remember if it was, I don't think it was like that huge restriction, but a lot of people couldn't come because our date ended up being like quite last minute. So it was our second attempt to have it in New Zealand because we were meant to be the 4th of September 2021. But like literally the week beforehand, there was a guy in the Coromandel that had COVID and it shut down the whole area. And so we were like, oh my God, like, what do we do? The florist was ringing me. It must have been maybe like 2 weeks out actually because she was ringing me being like, we need to make a call on whether we order in the fresh flowers or not. Like it is going to cost you, and if the wedding can't go ahead, you'll lose that money. And so the guest list was definitely a lot smaller than what we had originally planned. I think originally for Byron we had like 120 as like the guest list, and then we only ended up having I think it was 73. So but actually it was like a really lovely number. I'm not someone that gets overwhelmed easy, but I definitely did feel quite overwhelmed on the wedding day. So like when everyone's coming up to you constantly, like, you know, just everyone in your face wanting to talk to you and hug you and stuff. So I'm actually really glad that it was a little bit smaller.
Definitely, that is quite a nice number, I think. Yeah, under 100 if you can, and yeah, getting to around that number, you sort of, yeah, can kind of get around and chat to everyone and enjoy it a bit more without that overwhelm. Can you tell us a bit about the big day, how it all went down, and yeah, any highlights or favorite moments?
Absolutely. So we had the ceremony on the cliff top, which was beautiful, and we were so lucky with the weather because it was beautiful and hot the day before our wedding, but was actually meant to rain on our wedding day. So I was feeling a little bit like, oh no, like, you know, but I mean, that venue is so amazing. You could definitely do some indoor options, and we had a marquee as well. So, you know, I wasn't stressed about the fact of like, it not being how I wanted it. It was just more the fact that like you felt like the property was like a little bit wasted because outside is so stunning and the view is so stunning. Like I had literally said to my bridesmaids, do you know what? It's like going to be a 20-minute ceremony. People can just bloody stay out in the rain and just like embrace the elements, you know, like we haven't paid all that money to have that beautiful view of the ocean and the coastline to like all be kind of inside with it just in the distant background. So everyone were good sports though, and were prepared to kind of, you know, like be in the rain for a little bit if they had to. But honestly, we woke up to the most amazing sunrise, this beautiful pink sky. I went for a walk and just kind of like cleared my head and listened to the ocean and stuff, and got ready with the girls on site. It's such a beautiful venue, like the way it's laid out. Everyone's got their own rooms with en suites and stuff. So everyone really had their own space, which was really lovely. And the boys got ready in the Airbnb close by in Hahei, so they weren't on site with us. But it was so great not having to like travel. You know, I just had to literally like it was a little bit nerve wracking though watching the guests arrive and you're like, shit, like everyone's there for me. But it was really nice to actually just be able to like get ready at our own pace and not be rushing anywhere. So I definitely recommend that if you can get ready like on site or really close by to the site, try and minimize that travel time. So then you really can just like have a breather, enjoy the process of getting ready with your girls. And I like loved the wedding morning. Like we had the music cranked, you know, all my vendors were my friends, like photographer and stuff that were there. So it was just like the coolest getting ready experience, and it was amazing.
Did you do your own makeup as well?
No, I didn't. So I had my friend Annalie come and do it for me. It was like the one time that I was like, I don't want to feel like I'm working. Although I did end up doing my friend's makeup and my mum's makeup because I couldn't help myself. I'm like no good with idle time. Like I'm so used to being so fast paced that I didn't just want to be sitting around doing nothing. But it was still really nice to know that I had like the breathing time that if I wanted to go and check how the florist was going in the marquee and stuff, I could do all of that and not feel like I was being pulled in 100 different directions. So yeah, Annalie did it for me. I like tweaked a couple of little things myself, but like nothing major. She's got a very similar style to me and it looked amazing. I have full trust in like all my vendors, and that's such a big thing. It's like trust the process, trust the people you hire. They do it all the time. Let them do their thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And how did the day unfold from there?
So we obviously had the ceremony and stuff, which was really beautiful. As I said, the weather held out, and it was like the perfect amount of cloud too. So we got some really beautiful photos. And then after the ceremony, we kind of hugged everyone, had a quick chat to people, and then the bridal party we actually went off. We hired a boat and went and got photos at Cathedral Cove. So that was really fun. Like we had so many laughs, and like to the point where I have to send you the photo actually. It's so hilarious. Like we were on the boat and the guy was like, "Oh, how quick do you want to get there?" And like I thought he was meaning like for time, like, "Oh, do we have much time?" kind of thing. So I was like, "Oh, just as quick as you can, it's all good." Not realizing that with that he was gonna like full throttle it, and my hair was just like all over my face. Like, and I remember my sister sent a photo to the hairdresser, Moni, who was back at the wedding, and she was like, but we had a tangle teaser in the bag and it just popped back right into place. So I was very lucky because that definitely could have gone bad for like the photos. But we're pretty chill people. So I was just kind of like, it is what it is. Like, if it doesn't pop back into place, with the curl and stuff, it's all good. But so yeah, we kind of spent, I think we were probably there maybe like an hour or so. We took like some food and stuff and all just kind of like hung out and had some photos and that, and then yeah, made our way back. Before then we kind of entered the marquee, and then everything just kind of like proceeded as normal. I guess there was nothing, we're not super traditional, like we didn't have a big we had like a few speeches and stuff, which was really lovely. And my uncle actually, he, bless him, he's so cute. He was our MC, and he's like your typical dad joke uncle, but he had actually been having te reo lessons, and did like the most beautiful kind of speech, like to honor Regan's being Māori and stuff, which was so beautiful because Regan's dad had passed away earlier when Regan was younger. And so we wanted a way to be able to kind of honor that side of things, even though Regan, I wouldn't say is like quite, he's not super traditional when it comes to like being Māori, but we wanted to really like have that be a part of our day. So that was really lovely. And I actually gave Regan a really beautiful wedding gift too, which was I had a greenstone carved for him as his wedding present. And so it had a Ruru carved into the back of it because Ruru is his dad's birth last name. So I wanted him to feel like his dad was with him on our wedding day. So that was really cool.
Oh, so special. Sounds like such an amazing day. A lot of memorable moments there. And what did you find like the hardest part of the whole wedding planning process? Obviously, COVID and dealing with all of that would have been awful. But yeah, is there anything you look back on and regret or would do a bit differently?
Don't think so. I honestly think our day was a very good reflection of like us as a couple. When the COVID stuff was happening, we knew it was out of our control, and like there was no point getting stressed about it. after we couldn't have that original first date, which was actually like the meaningful date for us, we were very open with our vendors because they were all our friends and just were kind of like, what date can everyone do? We don't care if it's a weekday, or like we ended up getting married on a Sunday. We just wanted it to be as stress free as possible for like everybody, so that everyone could just party and enjoy it. And we had all of our vendors, and be our guests as well. So that was really cool. Best money I spent was having like an on the day coordinator. Honestly, Kate and John from Soiree like were just incredible. I had ordered these like urn pots through flock events that were meant to have our florals in them down on the cliff. But when they actually went to do it, because of the flowers, they were kind of toppling, and they hadn't come up to tell me at that point. But Kate and my sister actually, they're quick thinking. We had these really cool like rattan bar leaners, and they actually just switched them upside down and put the table as the base and put our flowers in those. And little things like that, that if you didn't have it on the day coordinator, you would be stressing yourself, so just having those things like sort of taken care of, and just knowing that everything was running smoothly. Yeah, those guys are legends, definitely. And I'm such a big fan of on the day coordinators. If you don't have the budget for a planner, definitely have it on the day coordinator. It's the best money.
Totally agree. So, yeah, such a key vendor, I think, especially if you're having like a marquee wedding or, yeah, getting married on land, bringing everything in. There's so many moving parts, and it's just nice having someone covering that and not people kind of coming to you all day or your family, your bridal party.
Totally. Yeah, absolutely. And just to know that like you literally didn't have to worry about a single thing, like I could just enjoy getting ready, and like if anything was going on outside, like I didn't know about it. So yeah, that was really, really cool.
Yeah, I've heard lots of amazing things about them. Did you guys have a set budget, if you're happy to talk about what that was for your wedding day, and yeah, how you went with that whole side of things? Did you blow the budget like many people do?
So we were, so I guess for us, so I'm definitely not a spreadsheet person. I'm kind of a just like pay as you go, and you just figure out a way to like make more money. Like, which was like actually ended up working fine, because obviously we lost quite a bit of money due to our wedding not being it. We lost like a lot of deposits and stuff in Aussie. So I think we started off by losing, I think it was around like 20 grand. And we also lost our entire like we had booked a European honeymoon and things like that. So we'd lost that too. So by the time we started, we were already like, halfway through what most people's budget would probably be. I think roughly, like I've never actually fully worked it out, but if I kind of just add things up roughly in my head, it would have probably been over 80 for having it in New Zealand. But to be fair, like I wanted, like I know the value of paying for really good vendors, and so I wanted them all to be there. I didn't want to cut corners, or like I didn't want to skimp and then look back and have any regrets, like you were talking about before. So I honestly think there's nothing that I would have changed. There was a couple of vendors that couldn't be there. Like originally we were meant to have Susie Blatchford, who's a really good friend of mine, as our photographer, but by the time we actually got to be able to get married, she was having her second baby the week of our wedding. So Isabella, who was coming as a guest anyway, because she's another really good friend of mine, I was like, right, so you're up, you're on photo, because I had Sarah Clements as doing video for me, because she's the only one kind of out of them that could also do video at the time. So I was so lucky. I'm very lucky to have such amazing, talented friends, and they're like the best in the business here in Christchurch. So it all worked out in the end. Yeah, no, it was so fun. It was just like the best day. But honestly, everyone says it, and it sounds so cliche, but it does go so fast. And like, it's like such an expensive day, so you do try and slow it down a little bit. But yeah, no, I look back and there's nothing that I'd change. And like Regan, I think he obviously has been with me for a long time, and he knows what's involved in the industry and things like that. But I don't think he realized till he turned up at Orua how much work actually goes into a wedding day. And he was like, I remember him saying to me, "This is so mean. Like this is like the best ever." So like Sugarfish did the food, and like I kind of let him do the food because he's more of a foodie than me. So everyone was like raving about the food, and it was amazing.
So good. I've had their food before. It's incredible. Coromandel weddings, so good. And yeah, you definitely are surrounded by some amazing vendors down in Christchurch and so helpful that yeah, you're all friends and then you can just like involve them on the day and yeah, it makes it just so comfortable as well. Like you're all you get along, you're just hanging out. Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't really feel like I was like the bride because I've done a couple of shoots with Regan for some of the photographers down here before too. So it kind of just felt like we were playing dress up, like so there was a point in the day where I was like, oh my God, it's like actually our day. So that was really cool. But I do have to say, like the North Island vendors that we worked with as well, like Lucy well, it was Ella Hire, but is now Lucy's, she was like phenomenal. She is just like honestly, we had like so they were building a custom bar for us that had some Bratten in it, and um, there was like a debacle with that as well. Like I'd gone to this place and got it and sent it to them, and then the courier lost it, and then we tried again and they lost it again, and so then I actually took it with me on the plane and was going to drop it off there before we drove up to the venue. And then our plane got delayed and diverted on the day. So instead of landing in Tauranga, we ended up in Hamilton on a bus. And so everything was just like, honestly, there was so many things, but we just laughed about it. And they delayed their guy finishing it off like for us. And like, they were just amazing. They like anything we needed, they were always willing to help. And yeah, that was again another highlight vendor for me, that like best money that I spent was with those guys.
They're incredible at what they do. And did you guys go on honeymoon straight away? I don't know if you could really travel then, but yeah, what did planning that look like?
So we yet to have our proper honeymoon. We did, because the way the date fell was in September. I was obviously it was one of those dates where I was like, shit, where's a day that I can like, delay some clients or, because obviously it was like wedding season still, like come into wedding season. So I actually returned to work like 3 days after our wedding. So we couldn't go on a honeymoon straight away, but we did return back to the Coromandel maybe, I think it was like 2 or 3 weeks later. But we just had the worst luck. So it was like we had booked this really beautiful like batch care property. Well, we thought it was beautiful. It looked amazing in the photos. And then we got there and it was like because of COVID, nobody had been to clean it. And like it was just like we walked in and we were like, we can't stay here. So we ended up driving to Whitianga and just booking like a random hotel. And so we were pretty gutted about that because the weather was shit and like it just wasn't like, what we were hoping. But then when we could actually travel again, we ended up being able to we had like an accommodation credit in Byron. So we were able to go over and do like a quick little trip to Oz, but we're actually doing Europe finally next year again. So yay.
Something more to look forward to. Such a tough time though. Like, yeah, so many things cancelled, and then you just have to laugh. Like all the things that happen in
Honestly,
brains. Yeah.
and when we like turned up at this place, we were both just like, "Are you kidding?" Like we were just cracking up, and it was like 6 o'clock at night, and we were trying to get a hold of them, and they were like really bad at responding, and then they weren't going to refund us. So I actually had to be like one of those people that posted it publicly online just to try and get our money back from them. I don't recommend booking pet care, guys. Like read the reviews because I didn't.
Crazy. And do you remember, I guess I feel like you already knew pretty much most of your vendors and stuff, but was there anything helpful that you used during that planning process? Different websites, apps, resources that were helpful?
Yeah, I guess I didn't really need to sort of look into anything like that. I did have like a wedding the Together Journal wedding planner type thing that I started to attempt to write things in, but honestly, like I literally just winged it and just booked the people that I know are amazing at their jobs and just let them do their thing. And I think that's like some of the best advice that I can give from being a bride, but also as a vendor myself. Like the more you try to control like the situation or put too much pressure on something being like a certain way, it like if it doesn't go that exact way, you're probably going to feel a little disappointed. So I think you're best to just like, you book your vendors based off of the fact that you love their work. So you just need to like trust them to do their thing for you and let them, do what they can for you.
Yeah, that's such key advice, I think. Yeah, don't try and like mold someone into a certain way. Just like, yeah, make sure you love what they do, you fully trust them, and yeah, let them do it.
start doing it, every weekend.
Amazing. That's such good advice. That was going to be my next question. If you have any advice for people planning their wedding, but yeah, do you want to say anything else in there?
No, I think that's it. Just trust the process and like actually enjoy it. I think so many people get stressed, and I was actually, that's probably the one thing. I was pretty adamant because I obviously work with so many brides, and they're always in my studio being like, oh my god, like this person wants me to invite this person, or like people are having a go at us because we're not letting kids be there, and like there's the very common themes that always people comment on. And so I was pretty like, nope, from the get go, like, we have who we want to be there. And like, if we don't want kids there, then we're making that pretty clear from the beginning and things like that. So I think it's really putting those boundaries in place from like the get go, because it is really sad that, these days the wedding's meant to be about you and your husband as a couple. And it actually sometimes ends up being about everybody else because people suddenly have all these opinions. And we were really lucky, like we didn't really have anything like that, but I knew that I was going to be pretty staunch if anything like that did try to kind of happen, because like you're the ones paying for it as a couple, right? So, and you don't want to look back on your day and be like, oh, it wasn't really us, or like, there was a million things I'd change. And like, I'm like, do it once, do it right. Like the goal is to only do it once, right?
Absolutely. That's such great advice. I think, yeah, you hear that those kind of similar themes pop up again and again. And yeah, if you can just set those boundaries and really clearly communicate that, like in a nice way, but clearly from the get go, then yeah, hopefully you're going to avoid the awkward chats, the family drama. Yeah.
Another like thing that we did, which might be helpful for some people, is like, so my mum wanted to help pay for a few things, and so we kind of said like, we want to pay for the wedding, but if you want to gift us money afterwards, you can. Like, not that my mum wanted to, control anything or anything like that. She's a very relaxed person, but it could be a way that if you do have parents that you feel like might try and control the situation if they are putting money in, you could just say to them, if you want to give us money, you can do it at the end. And then you can still have your day how you're wanting it. And you're not feeling like you're trying to please people because they've given you money.
Yeah, that's really good advice. I don't think I've heard that before. And yeah, a lot of people do feel obligated when that's the situation, or you have to like do a few things to please them. But great advice, maybe just do it after. And what is married life like now? Do you feel like you got any of the post-wedding blues?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I think we were just real stoked to like finally get it done. I think it was like stuff, or maybe it was the local news had done like like we were on stuff, I'm pretty sure, for being like how many attempts at getting married we had had. And so I'm just real stoked that we could like just get it done and move on with the rest of our life. It was like, oh my gosh, how many attempts do two people need to have at getting married, right? So it was, well, and for me, I'm so lucky. I'm surrounded by so many brides and the happiness of weddings all the time. So for me, I just feel like I constantly live in this like little love bubble of like happiness from my clients that like radiates into my own life too. So no, I didn't like feel down or anything. I'd love to do it again though, just for like how fun the day is. Like it's so much fun.
Oh, so good. I love that. Amazing. So cool to hear a bit more about your experience. And yeah, you've worked in the industry a long time. So we'll go into chatting about that unless there's anything else you want to add about your own wedding.
I don't think so. Just have fun and enjoy it, like really take in the moments. We actually took like, I think maybe 5 minutes during when like my mum and our witnesses were like signing our paperwork to just be together, because you don't spend a lot of time actually solely together. And so we just kind of walked away from everyone a little bit and just looked at the view, and we were just kind of like, oh my gosh, like we're actually like married. So I really recommend taking little moments throughout the day if you can, where it's just the two of you, have a breather, kind of debrief on how your day is going, because you do spend a little bit of time apart. So yeah, try and enjoy it as much as you can. I know some people find it really stressful, but honestly, like try not to let it get at you.
Yeah, no, I love that advice. Just being intentional with those little moments. That's a good one during the signing as well, because some people just stand around awkwardly or everyone's staring at you. But why not just like walk away a little bit and have a moment, the two of you? Because sometimes it can take
Yeah,
a while.
totally.
Planning a wedding is no small feat. From sunrise to sunset, you're on the move, managing details big and small. But amidst all the excitement, keeping yourself nourished shouldn't be a struggle. That's where Betty bars come in. Imagine a delicious protein bar crafted for your busiest days, with every ingredient chosen to satiate, give gentle nourishment, and a happy, balanced tummy. Betty bars combine plant-based protein, fiber, and probiotics, creating a blend that not only fuels you but keeps you feeling satisfied and energized throughout the day. Choose between caramel cookie dough, strawberry cheesecake, and chocolate fudge with cacao nibs. These aren't just any protein bars, they're low in sugar, gluten-free, keto-friendly, and designed to go easy on your digestion, so you can focus on everything from cake tastings to dress fittings without a worry. Betty bars are here to help you thrive from one bridal appointment to the next. Keep one in your bag and feel the difference that Betty brings to your wedding prep routine. Prepare for your big day feeling your very best. Betty Bars have kindly given us a code for 15% off at checkout. Go to goodbetty.co and use code KiwiWedding15 for a limited time. Thank you so much to Betty Bars for supporting this episode of the Kiwi Wedding podcast. Cool. So, can you tell me a bit about your more of your career, I guess, kind of an overview of what you do, a bit of your journey that's led you to where you are today?
Yeah, so I have been doing makeup for 16 years now. And I did my first wedding when I was like 17 years old, and I've never looked back. So I am so lucky. I work on roughly kind of like 150 weddings a year, so it's a huge amount of weddings. And I have an incredible team these days. So some of my girls have been with me for like 7 years, and yeah, we do. Well, I do not only bridal, but I do a lot of commercial and a lot of other makeup jobs here in Christchurch. But weddings is obviously a huge part of it in the spring, summertime. I have been to some incredible destinations. Like, honestly, it's just the dream. I love my job, and people often think I'm crazy for like how much I love it and how often I work. And people are always telling me, like, slow down, you can't keep doing it like that for that long. But honestly, here I am, I'm still going.
Yeah, your work is beautiful and looks like you've been to so many amazing places and worked on cool things. So I love that. You're just super passionate about it, you can tell. And yeah, can you talk a bit about that process for brides? What does that sort of look like when someone books you for your wedding day? And yeah, do you recommend them doing a trial? What does that sort of lead up to the wedding look like too?
Yeah, so I like have everything on my website, so it's really easy for brides, so that there's no sort of like hidden things, and also it just kind of like prevents heaps of back and forth with people, because I know that the admin side of it is pretty stressful for brides, you know, when they're kind of having heaps of email trains back and forth with like so many different vendors. So my first thing that I always wanted to make sure was that my website was really like informative, has some great tips for brides. It also tells them, you know, like how far in advance I normally book out, and things like that. So yeah, people come through normally my website. I'm really lucky. All of my work is basically word of mouth, which is awesome because it means that my clients are all very similar people, because they've kind of come from like similar friend groups, which is great. And I kind of have like a few questions on my website and stuff to kind of get to know the client a little bit more and make sure that we like align well and all of that good stuff. And yeah, then we kind of just discuss the process of booking in the wedding. So I take bookings sort of a year and a half out, and I definitely recommend that that's when you're like booking your vendors. If you have, you know, if you are planning your wedding like 2 years in advance, get in touch with your vendors like as soon as possible, because so many people get disappointed when they only wait like, you know, 6 months or 5 months or something, because they just don't realize how quickly everyone books. So that's like my top advice is like, as soon as you get engaged and you kind of know your date, send out like some emails and just kind of see, especially for like those peak summer months. Like, honestly, February, March goes so fast. And I can sometimes have like 30 or 40 brides wanting the same dates. Like, it's actually insane. So yeah. But like, if you also have specific vendors that you're wanting, be adaptable and have a Sunday wedding like I did. Like, it was so epic. I've actually got lots of like Wednesday and Thursday bookings in for next season too for brides, because venues are a little bit cheaper when you do it on like a non-peak day. Then it means that you get everyone that you want, you know. So there is so many benefits to having like an off-peak date as well. And yeah, a lot of my brides, I recommend a trial to all of my clients. I love to meet people and kind of chat through, you would hope that most clients have looked at your work enough that they know what your style is as well. So the trial is not really about making sure that they like my work, because I would hope that they would already know that they like my work before they come to me. But it's more about just chatting through. I kind of talk them through. I love giving people advice on skin prep, because skin, like honestly, your makeup's only as good as the skin that it sits on. So I'm really passionate about making sure people are hydrated. I remind them that 2 weeks out from the wedding, drink lots of water. For your makeup to perform and look its best, you've got to be hydrated. So I'm really big on that. And it's just, yeah, it's just really nice, I think, to get a feel for people in person, make sure you gel really well. Um, and then, yeah, once the trial is kind of done, I don't spend heaps of time on emails with my clients, because I'm just the makeup artist, there's not a lot of logistics that go on with us. I kind of tell them what sort of time we normally arrive. We're normally sort of there. If there's not a first look, my start time is pretty standard. Normally 7:45 we arrive. I really am also big on making sure that you've got plenty of time. Nobody wants to be rushed, and I really want my brides to enjoy the morning. It's not just about the makeup we put on you, but the whole experience with us. So I would rather have time on our side than be like, feeling like I'm holding up the photographer, because they need people in dresses and things like that. So my rule of thumb is kind of like, I like to have you ready an hour before the photographer wants you getting dressed. Then it just allows for any delays. Some people can be a little bit unorganized, so you've just got to allow a little bit of time for that. Or if somebody like is needing the bride and they have to get up and off the chair a lot, there's sometimes you just got to allow more time than what you actually need, just to be safe and make sure it all runs smoothly. And then it's also really nice for people who might be quite anxious people, and just sets a nice vibe that you don't have to keep watching the time and stuff. So it's pretty cruisy. I'm pretty chill with my clients, but yeah, the skin prep's probably like the biggest part. I like them to think of me like I'm a friend as well, and not, I want them to feel like they can come to me with any questions, and I'll always offer up like vendors that I suggest and I love working with, and I know will make their day amazing as well. Because I have, obviously, during my career, I had a few clients that have, maybe thought they weren't photo people and like skimped on the photographer, and but had really expensive other vendors because they really wanted like amazing hair and amazing makeup and stuff, but then got their photos back and been really disappointed, and so they've reshot their wedding and like, things like that. So I try and help people as much as I can with the, experience that I've had over the years.
Yeah. Oh, so good. So much great advice for people in there. And yeah, you're like super chill, but you sound very organized as well, and just makes it a really easy process for your client. Can we chat a bit about that whole pre-wedding makeup prep? What do you recommend for brides in the lead up to the day to, yeah, ensure that their skin is at its best? Any top tips?
Hydration is obviously like the number one. So whether that's increasing like your water intake or actually just using a moisturizer, because so many people don't, still these days, even though skincare is like a really like trending thing, there's still a lot of people that don't even use a moisturizer or a SPF. So my biggest tip is like, if you don't have a big budget to be getting skin treatments and things like that, keep it really simple. Don't be trying heaps of new products, but definitely like increase your water intake. Use a really nourishing, hydrating moisturizer. Nothing that's going to be too heavy on the skin though, because that can cause like skin purge and things like that. So you just want to just use something really simple. Yeah, getting good sleep is really important too. But also embracing the fact that skin is skin, and we can't get rid of texture, and we can't, get rid of lines and wrinkles and things like that. But hydration does plump fine lines. So while we can't, be cosmetic nurses on the day and like get rid of your lines and things, obviously, your prep and the lead up can definitely help soften things down for you. But if you do have the budget and you do have the time, so I normally try and get my brides, like if they email me, say a year and a half out from their wedding, I try and get them straight away on like a skin prep, just chat through what it is that they're using, what maybe they feel like they're missing, things like that. Because the longer you have to prep your skin is overall going to be better for you. Because obviously, if you've only got 3 months and you're like, oh, I need to do skin prep, honestly, there's not much point. Like, you could really upset your skin barrier by trying too many different things that close to the day. Your skin works in like a 28-day cycle. So really you do need a good like 8+ months up your sleeve if you are going to be getting like skin treatments and things like that. I would also stay away from like anything too fragranced, especially like a lot of brides like to go and get really relaxing facials done the week of the wedding. But if you haven't had something like that before, sometimes some of those facials can be like so fragrance that it actually makes your skin break out or get irritated or have a reaction. So it's best to just like honestly keep it super chill. You can do things like LED light treatments right up until the week of. They're really good because they kill bacteria, they like settle inflammation, and like especially if you're feeling a little bit stressed, it's quite a nice, calming, relaxing thing to just like go and lie under a light for like 45 minutes, you know. So yeah, so key takeaways would be definitely like hydration, you know, drink as much water as possible. I know people find it really hard, but it really does make such a difference to the way that like your makeup sits on the skin, and the way that the vibrancy of the product tones and things on your skin is as well. Because if you think about it, you know, when your skin's dehydrated, as soon as you put makeup on the skin, your skin is looking for anywhere that it can draw moisture from. So it just like sucks the life out of your makeup. So whereas when you're hydrated, it obviously doesn't do that. So and everything sits perfectly and it does the things that we need it to do, and it looks glowy and it looks beautiful, and you really radiate in your photos. So yeah, if you've got the time for skin prep, do it. But if you are only down to like the last few months, honestly, just drink lots of water, wear your SPF. Don't be trying too many like new products because it can really upset the skin, and then you'll probably have more issues trying to like balance it back out again. Um, if you're not somebody who has regularly used actives before, I would probably stay away from it. I know they can be really good for some people, but honestly, I've seen so many reactions and like people sending me photos like the week of their wedding from having like, you know, basically given themselves a chemical peel on their skin by using glycolic every day instead of like easing into it. So there is some horror stories that I have seen. So honestly, just keep things simple is my best advice.
So good. So much great advice in there. I know people are going to take a lot away from that. And you kind of fit in the skincare space as well. What led you to founding Soleil and Soul? Hopefully, I've said that right. Yeah. What have you kind of learned from launching that brand?
So I launched Soleil and Soul Beauty because I've always wanted my own beauty brand. And I just feel like there's so many fluffy products in the beauty industry and so many things that are constantly trending and overwhelming people that, you know, they're products that a lot of people just actually don't need. I teach a lot of client lessons here in my studio and at people's homes. And the common factor is that, you know, when a lot of people walk into Mecca, they're just so overwhelmed with what to buy, they don't really like know where to even start, or they spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on product that then just sits in their cupboard because they're like, oh my god, I don't even know what this is going to do for me, I just bought it because of the pretty packaging. So um, obviously, with that being a common factor for years and with wanting to launch my own line, I really wanted education to be at the forefront of it. But my one faux pas is that I'm obviously not a millionaire and I'm self funded, so I can only launch like one product at a time. So I decided to go with makeup brush cleaners to begin with. Just because it is literally the one part of the beauty routine that people hate, but it is single handedly one of the most important steps in your skincare routine. So much bacteria sits in your makeup brushes, it's actually disgusting. They're rated as like the most unhygienic item in your house alongside the toilet. So I'll just let that sit with a few people for a little bit.
Feeling the
So
guilt that I haven't cleaned mine in a while. I think many people will be.
and then you're gonna up your game. That's actually one of my favorite things about having a brand is that when people are like, oh, I'm like, I'm gonna change your mind and I'm gonna like show you. So I started with that product because I felt like the education isn't there around it. People are just like, oh, it's a chore. I'll just chuck my brush out and buy a new one. But actually, like, that's so wasteful. And so I created amazing formulations with my chemist here in Christchurch, and my lab is here in Christchurch as well. And we formulated these two amazing products. So one is a quick dry formulation, which is really great for people who are time poor, or for makeup artists, or for just keeping like regular maintenance on your foundation brush, especially because they do tend to clog up quite quickly with it being a liquid product. And then our deep cleanse brush shampoo, which is like a number one consumer product because like everyday people love the idea of just doing it like every 7 to 10 days. So that's like a standard kind of shampoo that requires water and like you really can get right into your brushes. So yeah, it's been a real fun journey. So they're the first two products that I launched, and they both have a refill. So I wanted to create really beautiful packaging, but have a sustainable model as well that people save a bit of money once they've got their original bottle. They can just then buy the refills to keep going afterwards. So I've got lots of ideas for my next products, but I'm just kind of like, it's a huge investment. Like, honestly, it actually scares me how much money I've put into it, but I just have so much drive to like really change like the whole perception of like a beauty routine. And I really want to have core amazing products that when people see it on the shelf, they know exactly what it's going to do for them. And it's really going to make their life easier and not complicated or hard. And I just really want to bring like a lot more education to the industry. And I feel like because I've worked with real people for so long, I know what people actually need. So keep tracking along, and hopefully this year we might see another product come to the market. Or you'll know if I've won lotto because I'll just start pumping out the other products that I want to do.
Oh, so good. Oh, it's amazing. Very impressive what you've achieved so far, and I'm sure the future's super bright. So cool to hear a bit about the background of that, and like perfect person to start a brand. You've worked with so many people, different skin types, like ages, everything, and yeah, just all that, bringing all that experience to the table.
Yeah, and that was kind of my thing. Like I had always said to like my mum, I was like, I could invest all this money and it could be a flop, but like I would be so gutted if somebody else, like a big corporate brand, did something like this because they don't really care. At the end of the day, they're just focused on like making money, right? And they have the ability to pump out products left, right, and center. But I really wanted to have a brand that has a lot of care behind it. Everything's intentionally created, and it's not actually like the making money side of it that runs the business for me because like I'm happy with the income I make. Actually, if anything, I would love the business to make enough money that I can pay my mum because she packs all the orders, and like I grew up with her as a solo mum my whole life, and I've always said like if I ever had the ability to like do anything, it would be to employ my mum in some capacity, to like help her in life. So it's not about the money. It's actually about like people having beauty routines that they really love and trust, and have products that actually work for them. So yeah, I'm really excited to see what's to come. I've thought about, getting investors and things like that to be able to like get things moving quicker. But then at the same time, I'm like, no, because I know that my heart is in the business and I just don't want anyone having a say on what to do.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, good and bad with both sides. But yeah, so nice to just keep it doing it how you want. And yeah, I love that your mum helps you out as well. That's a cool
Yeah.
goal to have. So special.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
pretty cool.
And have you noticed any trends with wedding makeup lately or things that you think will be seen more of?
I think people are starting to really pare it back again. There's a huge focus on skin, which is really amazing. The makeup not being too overpowering, which, yeah, I love that though. Like, I love soft glam. It's like my favorite because people just feel so confident in it. Like, obviously, if you normally wear like a full on face of makeup every day, like that would be your bridal look because that's who you are. But it is really beautiful when looks are timeless, and your makeup's not like taking over your entire look, that everything's just cohesive and working well together. So yeah, I really love that everyone's kind of going to more that kind of subtle look. It's still like makeup, don't get me wrong. Like a lot of people who want natural looks, actually that's more makeup than what you realize it is. But it just photographs softer, and things are, you're enhancing all the features in all the right way rather than trying to overdo it. So yeah, I love that kind of Hailey Bieber like clean girl aesthetic is kind of the vibe at the moment. I think it's really pretty.
Yeah, so good. It's just like suits everyone. Like it's their bringing out their natural self. So yeah, I love that.
You're not gonna like look back on your photos and be like, oh my god, why did I wear a purple smoky eye on my wedding day?
Oh, exactly. Timeless makeup is key. Yeah, what can people sort of expect to invest in a makeup artist if, yeah, people have like never booked one before, don't really know how much they cost, or yeah, what should like a good makeup artist be charging?
I would say expect to pay like over sort of 120, 130 sort of dollars. I mean, in Auckland and stuff, your decent makeup artists are probably starting at least 150, 160. Here in Christchurch, like the rates are kind of various, but I guess it depends on if you want someone that's experienced or you don't mind that they're kind of newer. Another piece of advice that I would have is like really make sure you do your research on who the makeup artist is, because these days anyone can have a social media platform, right? But a lot of people use models. So whether they're actually having real life like clientele is a whole other thing. So I would definitely like look around on the bridal group, see who's being recommended, watch people's accounts before you kind of inquire with them, see how busy they are, make sure that they're actually legit. Because my thing that I hate hearing is that when people have seen someone online that might have followers or something, and look like they can do makeup, and then they like cancel on them the week out, or they're late, they're like 2 hours late, or there's like so many horror stories that I always hear, and it just breaks my heart. So definitely like take your time to do your research on your vendors and ask your other vendors. If you've booked your photographer first, ask who they normally like to work with as well. A lot of us have like a list of people who we recommend because we know that they'll never let anybody down as well. So yeah, ask people, just ask around, see who's kind of, around. But I would say, yeah, expect to pay like at least sort of minimum 130 for bridal makeup, upwards of that. Anything below that, I would be like a little bit, not like super iffy on, but I would just kind of have in the back of your head that like you might be getting someone less experienced, or the products that they're using might not be that good a quality and things like that. Because that's the other thing, is you want products that are going to last and really perform well for you as well.
Yeah, that's some great advice. So good for people to hear. You've mentioned a few things already, but yeah, is there anything else that people should kind of be looking out for when they're trying to choose their makeup artist?
I would just say, like, really analyze what type of style you're wanting, like, I still get it even these days, even though I post heaps of my work online so people can see the styles that I like. Most makeup artists, we can do like various ranges of styles. I guess if these days though, a lot of artists are like self-taught, so the look that they do might be like just the look that they wear as a makeup artist, whereas a lot of us that have been around a really long time, we've done like courses or we've worked on counter and stuff, so our range of skill is like a little bit more diverse. So always inquire with somebody if they do like a certain look that you're wanting, or just take note of what their preference of style kind of is on their socials. Like you would, like I've had a few people message me, wanting like that real sort of pin-up girl sort of vibe look, and I'm like, did you look at my socials? Because it's not really like my style of, client that I like to do. I can absolutely do it. Like if somebody really wanted me and they really wanted me to do that, I can absolutely do it for them. But it's not the style of makeup that I love and enjoy doing. Um, so just, yeah, really make sure that you align with the style. Somebody's not going to come to me for like full on big smoky black eye and thick brows, because that's absolutely not what I like doing. But you do get the odd person that like obviously just hasn't, they've looked at one photo of your work and they're like, oh, makeup artist, oh yeah, I'll send an inquiry through. So I guess it's probably like that with photos as well. Like they probably like, you probably get some interesting reference photos where you're like, did you look at my
Yeah.
portfolio?
Yeah, you just hope people book you because they love your work and they just trust you. And then, yeah, if you, yeah, same thing, get some inspo and you're just like, I don't know about that. Yeah.
Think just like do your research. Is like, there's so many things with like social media and stuff these days. People have so much more access to being able to actually spend time looking through people, comparing what they like. And if in doubt, just flick somebody an email and actually have a conversation with them, and talk to them about like, if you can help them in any way, or if you actually align. I know a lot of photographers like to do that. They like to ask lots of questions and make sure that you actually are a compatible kind of fit. Makeup and hair, it's not really like as intense as that, but like we still like to know that we're going to enjoy being on that job with you as well.
Yeah, it's really good if you can just vibe with your vendors, especially those ones that are face to face. And you guys are like right up in their face, obviously, painting it kind of
Yeah.
thing. So, yeah, it's just nice if you book someone that feels like a friend and you're hanging out. And I guess you are kind of a part of that getting ready in the morning. Like you say, some people can be feeling really anxious and nervous. So I think, yeah, working with makeup artists that just have that really calming presence, and yeah, you do kind of like set the tone on the day as well. And I can tell that your energy is so like that as well, so you'd be amazing to work with. But yeah, I think you can kind of tell that like even through emails and just the like communication
Yeah.
from the get-go and their social media. So look out for that, just see how the vibe is, the energy is, and yeah, go with that.
And that's why I also like, I'm one of those annoying person that doesn't take DM bookings because one, I'm like often with clients that I actually just lose track of my DMs and it's really hard to like keep on top of them. But I also just like to have an email train so we can set that vibe in the conversation. And like I don't want someone to think that I'm not taking their booking seriously. So that's why I'm one of those annoying people that's like, please don't DM me. It's also just because I don't want to come across rude if I take like 2 weeks to reply to you because I haven't looked at my DMs.
No, absolutely fair enough. Boundaries, I'm gonna communicate them. Amazing. It's been so lovely to chat to you. Is there any other advice you wanted to add, or yeah, anything else you want to say as we wrap up?
I don't think so. And yeah, just trust your vendors, have an amazing day, and just know that, the money you spend is so worth it. Like, yes, it seems like a lot of money, but like, do it once, do it right, I say. And just like, yeah, have the best time, treat yourself. Honestly, there's so many things that I like threw into it with that Regan would not even know about that I was just like, oh, that'd be nice. I get myself like a nice expensive lippy for the day and all those treat things because even things like fragrance, that's actually one thing I would say to people is treat yourself to a beautiful fragrance because for me, I'm one of those people that like fragrance. I have different fragrances for different memories in my life. And I think it's so beautiful when you can wear a fragrance that just fills you with happiness and it takes you back to that day and like you just feel all the feels and stuff. So definitely like go and look at some fragrances. I wore Tom Ford and Jo Malone actually, and Regan wore Jo Malone, and it's just such a nice experience treating yourself to something special like that and just having that memory forever. So if you do want to treat yourself to like your own little wedding gift, definitely look to fragrance because I promise every time you wear it, you'll just be taken back to those special moments, which will be really cool.
I love that. Yeah, get a special wedding fragrance. I think scent is so connected to memory. So yeah, if you kind of like
Absolutely.
save it for that day, or yeah, you like wear it every anniversary or like special date nights or something, it's just yeah, that really um brings back all the memories.
Totally.
Amazing. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been a pleasure.